Hello, everyone. Welcome to the State. My name is Tim Hayden, and I'll be your host. On this episode of the State, our guest is Robbie Walsh. Robbie's a necrotizing fasciitis survivor and is from Ireland. There will be some graphic photos in this episode. Let's add Robbie to the show. Hey, Robbie, how are you?
Not too bad, Tim. And you?
I'm doing well, doing well.
Good. That's
Uh,
good.
well, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? I know you're a
Um,
gamer.
yeah. Since I was a kid, so I have not grown up in that side. I'm 38 years of age. My name is Robert Walsh. I'm from Ireland. I was 35 when I contracted NF, so it's been 3 years. I'm married and I have two beautiful daughters. Um, and yeah, I'm a proud survivor of NF. And over this side of the world, it's kind of relatively undiscovered. So that's why I'm so all hands on deck about it, because over this side, like I said, it's not really common. Even now, with the awareness that I'm trying to raise over here, it's still a bit uncommon. So hopefully we can make the awareness spread over this side along with the UK and the US and all over the world. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I meant to say as well, I'm in the military for the last 16 years. So I'm still there. So that's a good thing. And I intend on being there for the foreseeable future.
Uh, did your NF start from your in the military, or was it a
Um,
personal?
well, what happened was in 2019, I was on a tour in Lebanon. And what happened was over peacekeeping, I came home on leave. So obviously during the 6 month trip, you get a period of leave. And so I came home. And whilst I came home, I went traveling with the family, with the wife and the kids. And whilst on that little journey that we had, I contracted it. How I got it, we still do not know. Um, because I finished the holiday. We'd say when I came back on a Friday evening, all was good. I was like me and you right now, no issues. And by Saturday, I couldn't walk, and I was thinking, oh my god, I must have hurt it somehow. NF didn't exist in my head, and by Tuesday, it went from being okay, as you could see in the photograph there, it just started to swell, and I was like, oh, what is this? Again, thinking that I must have went over on it or something, and eventually I was unaware because I was, what's the word? I was out of it, so to speak.
Right.
Um, and we slowly figured out that it was NF, and it went from 0 to 100 as I've seen with other people and other survivors. It went from 0 to 100 in a matter of hours. I'd say days, but we'd say in a matter of hours. As you can see by the photos with the development, I mean that's like 4 hour periods. Um, and I was on a lot of drugs. I didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what was wrong with me, so they were kind of trying to figure it out. Um, so I had a microbiologist trying to assess what is going on. She didn't know. They didn't know what was wrong with me effectively. And then thankfully, my savior at this stage, there was a surgeon out of nowhere. He just popped his head in, and he says to me, "We have to go right now." And I was kind of looking, going, "Okay, where?" He says, "Surgery." Now, I was told immediately that my leg was going to be gone. So they told me that from the hip down, it's going to be an amputation. As you can imagine, that's a lot to take. And
For
it doesn't
sure.
matter who you are, but as a military member as well, only on leave, I was supposed to go back out to the mission and stuff. I was like, oh my God. But he told me, he goes, look, no. And he was an honest lad, which I appreciate. He said the rate of survival is very, very small due to the fact that how long it's been, because I had been 4 days since I went into him. So I went into the hospital and they didn't know what was wrong for like 4 days. So that was a long time as you could. So it was eating away. But brought up to ICU, emergency surgery. Didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to anyone. And thankfully, I woke up. But when I woke up, obviously, like I said, I was in intensive care. And I don't remember much, but I remember what have people told me since. So my wife would have told me what was said. And they were basically saying that I'm not out of the woods. Survival rate is still very low. They said I've 25% chance of survival is what they taught me. No, I had it in my head. I put on the blinkers. I was getting better. I was not leaving this defeat me, but I took another step back then, which I found out is common from other survivors in the foundation, is I went into septic shock, and lungs and kidneys, all vital organ failures. So I was placed on a ventilator. I was on the ventilator for about 4 days, I want to say 4 days. And thankfully, again, I came through that. And what you're looking at now is towards the end of it, after the skin graft. But I was in ICU for a total of about 14 days. And thankfully, I want to say everything went well, but that's me summarizing it up fairly quick. Obviously, it had its ups and downs with bandage changes. As everyone who knows, that is hell on earth.
So did it spread from your foot up your leg? Is that what the second?
Exactly, yeah. So initially, when you've seen the pictures there of the swelling just started to form, it just looked like someone might have stood on it or something. They made an incision, like you can even see on that picture there's an incision, and they were marking my leg with marker because the leg was swelling, so it was traveling up the leg. So that's why the surgeon said it has to go from the hip down. We don't think we can stop it effectively. So they made incisions all up my, so you can see on my calf, my leg obviously, up by my knee. You can't see it here, obviously I didn't send them, but up by my thigh and my groin area, there's more incisions. But what they done was, it was a case of they were checking to see had it got that far up, and it hadn't. So that's where they were able to salvage it. Now, you can see there, it looks like something that's CGI'd. Unfortunately, it's not. It is real. But I would have taken that when they were telling me the horror stories that was going to happen. I would have bit the hand off before that. No, I spent a total of, it was about 9 weeks in hospital. Obviously, I never went back out to Lebanon on that military mission. That wasn't happening. But it was just about recovery and recuperation. And again, I didn't know what was going on. As in, this wasn't something that was heard of over here. And again, with the doctors. So even to this day now, when is it? Next Wednesday, I'm back in the hospital again, and it's to talk to interns to raise awareness for this in Ireland, because it really is very rare. I've heard of a few cases, but not thankfully, it's the wrong words. Not all outcomes have been my outcome of me sitting here talking today. And I know it sounds rather strange, Tim, but to be proud to be a survivor of it.
Absolutely. You should be. You're fought off something that, a lot of people don't get to finish fighting.
Exactly. And sometimes to myself, I feel like if I feel a bit down on myself saying, I just think of how lucky I am, because again, survivors in the foundation itself and other people who unfortunately aren't here, there's a lot. It could have gone a lot worse. It's a nasty, nasty disease, and fair play to yourself and the foundation for all this awareness that's been raised. And I'll fly the flag over this side for it, because it needs to be spread. It needs to be not common knowledge, but like we'd say at the moment, Tim, over here, there's a lot of people with that disease. It's so unknown that I almost want it to be known as, oh my, is that thing that man had? Ugh. I want to be, because I'd rather they go as than not know about it at all. Like you can see me there, I'm smiling away, even because I'm always happy-go-lucky. It's the way I live my life. There's no point in being down about it.
Well, the that you're talking about is a good way to attract people's attention to learn about what happened to you, what happened to that person.
Was 100%. 100, and I don't mind being known as that. No, I'm not. No, because to be fair, I went kind of public with this. I think around the time I joined yourselves, because I wasn't willing or able to talk about it for a while, because I was focused on recovery. I was like, I'm getting better, and then when I'm ready, I'll extend out. So when I did do that, it kind of started to help me, and it made me appreciate and see how lucky I was.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and it is a scare. It is a scare, especially when, even for me, and I've other cases I've seen, I still to this day do not know how I contracted it. I've researched it, and it happens over here anyway. Like a couple of times we were pregnant women and stuff like that. Like I've done nothing. I still don't know. They were saying spider bites. I don't believe it was. But either way, but I found that Tim, for me, and I don't know the other survivors or family members of survivors can relate. One of the hardest parts for me was the aftermath, because I'm a very independent man. Like I'll do everything myself, but to not be able to put on socks or not be able to, that was the hardest part for me. And even to this day, I still, and this sounds strange to say, I have PTSD, right? And it's not to be ashamed of. I not welcome it, but before I was like, oh my God, am I, what's going on? But no. And that's why I do the whole thing with the gaming and stuff like that, because that was a huge distraction. And also getting it out there to a younger audience and stuff like that, because more often than not, it is of a certain age. It can happen to anyone, I get that, but it does seem to affect an older generation. Whereas now, we touched on the whole factor a while ago. I'd rather some 16-year-old goes, that's disgusting, and know about it than not know about it. And have a bit of compassion for people who are survivors of it, because some people, I mean, the internet is horrible. I mean, stuff gets said, but that stuff doesn't bother me. But just be aware of this disease is out there,
And also, along with what you were just saying on the internet, there's some publications that they glamorize it.
Yeah.
And sensationalize it, and it shouldn't be that, because and they exaggerate it a lot. That's kind of why I set up this platform, to give everybody a safe place to tell their story and their experience, to where it's not going to be manipulated.
And the thing about that is, and fair play to yourselves, like it deserves a huge round of applause. But what it does on that is, every story might seem different, but the core is the same. So everyone's experience, yes, is different, but everyone can relate to the little things. So this whole thing about the vulnerability, like no one likes being that. Like, we're all grown adults, we're all grown men and women. You take care of your children. You don't expect people, well, I don't anyway, and I know a lot of people saying to be looking after you, or being bedbound, being stuck to, I mean, it's never good,
Well, I mean, it was doubly hard on you. First of all, you're a father. Second of all, you're a soldier. So those are two reasons right there.
Well, that was huge. That was huge. But I was like, thankfully, and actually coinciding with it, today was I have been back in work in the barracks, but it's office duties and stuff. So I am back to work, but I'm in office duties. But I was always allowed wear tracksuit and runners because of my foot with the boot, I couldn't wear army boots. But coinciding with the chat today, which today was the first day back in military uniform. So it was a big day this morning putting it on, because again, with the whole PTSD, I was like, oh my God, but it was grand.
Congrats on that huge step.
It was a huge step. I mean, some people outside of here on the foundation might go, you were putting on a uniform, why does that bother you? No, trust me, because the last time I had the uniform on, I never had this disease. And it brings it all back. It's almost like a tidal wave.
So are they going to let you go back work out in the field again?
It all depends. Right. So I'll be able to work while I'm in Ireland. Going forward, will I be able to be distributed out to other missions? Yes is the word, but it will take a lot on my part to prove, because I mean, I have to get military fit again, because regardless, I will be able to. Like, I mean, there's the positive attitude for me is I'm telling you I will. But yourself, the military would be a bit limited going on a second, because if this happened to me, Tim, when I was in Lebanon, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Right. We wouldn't.
Well, I just know that a lot of people who are used to being hands-on, all of a sudden not, and like you, to put you back in the office, it would be very difficult for you. Could not get out in the field in some fashion.
Yeah, and that took a bit of an adaptation as well, adapting to sitting in an office, and that's it. I was like, nothing wrong with doing that type of a job, but when you're in the military, you kind of don't want to be stuck behind the desk. So I was like, but it is what it is. It could be a whole lot worse. I could be out of the military. I could be an amputee. I could be past. So the way I look at it is, there's no point. I used to live in the what ifs. And like I told you about the PTSD, I still am seeing a counsellor, and she always says to me, "Stop at the what ifs," but you can't help it. Sometimes you cannot help it. You're like, "Oh my God, what if?" So there is light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't think it would take this long with the mindset I have. I always thought I'll be grand by Christmas kind of thing, and then I'll be grand by. No, it's a slow process. There's nothing wrong with it being slow. Don't be hard on yourself, and you'll get there. And that's exactly where I intend on going. I intend on getting back exactly the way I was. Even if they're telling me sometimes, the doctors sometimes go, you won't quite be back to where you were. And I'm like, no, don't tell me that. I will. No. It's just...
Even if you're not, you'll find your new normal. Because you'll be able to push yourself and know how far you can go.
100%.
I mean, I'm not sure the limitation this has caused for you as far as mobility, but that would be I would think the only thing that would set boundaries for you.
100%. And it was really bad for mobility, obviously, as you could imagine. And do you know what? Like you referred to there being, like at the time I was 35, and I'm going around with a Zimmer frame for months. And as you could imagine, in my head, I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. I didn't care about, I was like, look, what am I like? And then it went to a crutch, and then it went to slow walks. We're at the stage where I'm looking at running, trying to get back. It's all positives. And that's the only way I can think of. Anyone who is a survivor or family of someone, just look at the positive side of it. No, again, on that, one thing I can never forget is, as zoned in as I was to getting better, is the help from family, and especially the wife. Like, as much as me and her might, log our heads every now and then for a bit of...
Right.
As normal couples, you couldn't have done it without her. And I want to reiterate as well, and I reckon all survivors will say this. Personally, I would rather have been me than being my wife. Me, the patient. And the reason being is because I couldn't do what she done. Do you get me? Like,
yes.
I'm confident that I'm done. Yeah, I'll get better. Because I'm in charge. I can get better. But being her, I couldn't have done it. So hats off to her. And I'm not just saying that now because I'll be in the spare room for the rest of my life. I'm just saying it because it's fact. And I bet you everyone that's been on, or without their partners, they will be in a bad way.
Oh, Robbie, you're preaching to the choir. That's almost my motto. I've said it in several previous episodes. I would not have wanted to be my loved one,
No.
or a loved one. I'm so glad it was me that went through it and not somebody else.
100%, because I couldn't. I mean, the fear, the unknown.
Well, not only that, they're having to make decisions for you, for somebody else.
Exactly. I mean, even shielding the kids away from it. What's wrong with dad, and lying to them. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I was actually, like we said, they're worse off than us, as in the actual loved ones themselves. No, that extends out to mothers, fathers, kids and stuff.
Right.
But my wife was, for me anyway, everyone would have their own, but the wife was the rock of what happened, like. And it took a weight off my shoulders knowing that everything was looked after. House, kids, blah. Get better, that's your job, which thankfully I have done. So yeah.
So did you see any big changes or effects that it had on your children?
I tell you now, when I was in ICU, I did not want to see the children because I didn't want them to see me with all the tubes and stuff like that.
Right.
Now, when I came off the ventilator, they kept saying to me, because I wouldn't sleep and stuff like that, and the reason I wouldn't sleep is, to be honest, I was afraid in case I wouldn't wake up. That was because I'd never been to hospital in my life before that. So I mean, you're talking going to the extreme, but
right.
I didn't want to see the kids, and it wasn't because I didn't want to see my kids. I love my children more than anything. I just didn't want them to see me in that vulnerable state because I was there. You can't see dad like that because dad is always the loud, strong, whatever part. I didn't want to see me. But eventually the hospital told me that you have to see them. You have to see them. Like, so we covered up all the machines and they came to see me, and it was it turned out to be brilliant. They were a bit freaked out by it. They were a bit like, whoa, what happened? So the missus kept them away. And after that, then what I tried to do is, I don't lie to my children. I know they're young, right? They're 9 and 11. So at the time, they would have been 6 and 8. My maths are poor, but they were around that. But when I got to the stage where it was just, I was okay and they were just monitoring me, they were coming up every day, but I would hide all the stuff. But when they come up, I'd always put on a brave face, like I always do. I always laugh. I think this is the longest I've ever gone without making a joke, by the way, because I take it so serious. Because I am a bit of a messer. But when the kids came up, then I eventually had a conversation with the wife, and I goes, we have to let them see the wound, because I'm not going to be able to hide it. They're going to see it. When I go home, they're going to see it in a year's time. So I was kind of upfront with them. It kind of freaked them out, but my reaction of smile and laugh and joke, and they thankfully, they took it like a duck to water. So it didn't faze them, it didn't bother them. And if anything, now, like on the streets, like I wear the oh my God, the tights.
Compression socks.
Yeah. So I have that on one leg, and the girls out in the estate would be joking, going, why does your dad wear tights? That kind of way. And I'd be joking then with them, going, there's nothing wrong with it. It's 2022. I can wear what I want. All that messing with them. And my kids are just used to it, and they just go, yeah, look, his leg swells. And thankfully, there was no, I know other families might struggle, and there's nothing wrong with it. I expected a struggle, but there wasn't. No, I haven't told them the full story of everything that has happened. I mean, I would never tell them, oh, the doctor said he's, when they're older, I can't wait. The likes of this podcast, I'm looking forward to showing them this in years to come, so they can get an appreciation of what I went through and what they went through, unbeknownst to them, and what their man went through, obviously.
And what they can survive. You showed them that and what they can survive.
Exactly.
You survive. If you can survive NF, that sets a pretty high bar for them.
Yeah, exactly. No, I do find that a lot. I do find if they were to come in and they go, oh, I grazed my knee, I go, all right, I'll show you one. And then I just put up my the Crocodile Dundee. Here's a knife. No, this is a knife,
Exactly.
But yeah, no, they've took to it very well. Thankfully, like I said. And the only person that kind of mentions it all the time a lot now is myself, because of the fact that I'm ready to do the whole awareness thing and stuff like that and speak about it. I mean, I would not going to lie. I reckon a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have been able to talk about it as bluntly as we are now, because I realized there's, like you said, you should be proud of it. No, like, I'd wear a shorts, and if someone looks at my leg, I'm actually going, let's have a conversation about it, and I'll tell them, as opposed to hiding or disguising. This classic, being proud of your scars. I love them. Mm-hmm. No, it's a bit dangerous now that I've joke or stuff everywhere about how we got the scars, but it's a different story when I tell them how I got my scars. But
well, I mean, your scars tell a story, and show what you survived and how strong of a warrior you were, because you did survive that.
Sure, look, as you can see there now.
I saw that as soon as we signed on. I saw that.
Yeah, and I tend to change that every day. Now, it mightn't be necessarily NF related, but if I have, I don't know, X amount of people and one person asks, love having the conversation again, just to kind of harp on that, reiterate about the whole awareness and stuff.
Well, what you were saying about scars, mine you can't really see now. Mm-hmm. I'm 16 years out, and they weren't that bad before, but when they were noticeable, that helped me. When people kind of say, "What happened to you?" And then you were able to tell them. I was able to tell them. But like I said, my scars aren't visible now very well. You have to point them out.
I find it like bizarre, even for me, especially over here, explaining what happened, because when I tell them, they'll always go, "What? That's what?" And then they're going, no, it was like some disease, and it's a fleshy. I have to break it down. There's no point in, like, if I say necrotizing fasciitis, you can forget it, because an Irish person will always struggle to say that.
Right.
So I just says, flesh eating thing, and then they're thinking, wow, like a horror film, and then they're going, yeah, we'll go with that. Just say that I got bit in my leg, and it works its way up. Even if I can simplify it for
Right.
anyone, just so they know. And I would say this, I don't know, do you the same? But a lot of people are like, oh my god, that is amazing. Like how are you still like that? And I just tell them I have to give kudos to the doctors and nurses as well. I mean, I didn't mention the medical care was, I don't know what it's like in the States, but over in Ireland it was unbelievable. As in, to be fair, best treatment they could have wanted, and everyone kind of looked after me. And then on top of that, the military was like, don't worry about coming back, take your time, focus on getting better, which is a huge thing on the brain and on the head, that you're not worrying about money, or you're not worrying about your job. They're like, just get better, which was
Right.
a huge thing. Yeah, so that was kind of like the story in a nutshell. But like I said, I found personally, as bad as it was physically during the 9 weeks in hospital, because that was physically demanding, I found the next 100 weeks almost as bad, because it was more mentally draining, being left
Right.
on your own in the
Yes.
bed. I mean, like it was a disaster.
Oh
There's no one
yes.
sugarcoating that. Like,
It affects you extremely on your emotionally and psychologically. I
100%.
frequently say that, I don't know if y'all have like kind of a checklist to be released from the hospital over there. Over here, you have to be seen and checked out by a physical therapist, an occupational therapist.
Mm.
I believe that they need to put a psychiatrist or a therapist in there to let them have to sign off as well, because a lot of people, like you said, suffer from PTSD and
Mm.
other emotional disorders.
I found that my PTSD didn't really hit me on. Might seem strange or whatever, but I reckon until about a year afterwards. And the reason being is because I was so solely thinking about getting better. Maybe I was suffering from PTSD at the time, but I was diagnosed with it about a year later. No, I don't know, but I did have a psychologist come up to me in the hospital a few times. I felt, if I'm being honest, because I'm an honest person, I felt like I was just saying the right things, knowing that he's okay.
Right.
Because I didn't want them to think it, because there is a bit of a stigma behind all that kind of mental stuff, wrongly as it
Yes.
is, but there is.
Yes.
So I was thinking, I don't want them to think that there's something wrong with me. And I was thinking of my career. I was thinking, I don't want them thinking that there's something wrong with me. So I was saying stuff that I knew he'd want to hear, but I confide, like I wouldn't keep it in. I'd confide in the missus, the wife, or the mother, or whatever the case may be. But at least over here, we did kind of I got met 2 or 3 times in the hospital about that. Now, when I was checking out, they didn't, but I reckon after the third visit, they were thinking, well, this he's okay. Which ultimately I think I was, but there was something in the background, all right, which eventually, when I physically felt better, the emotion side kind of took over, with say, and that healing process took a lot longer.
Right.
And I'm still not over that, to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, everything's good." No, it's not. I mean, I could hear a song like anyone. You could hear it and go, "Oh, it take you right back," or you see something that happened on the day that you remember, or everything.
Most survivors that I've spoken with on the show have said pretty much the same thing, as smells is what always takes them back.
Smells, yeah. I've had incidents of where I go back to the hospital for checkups now, or when I said I talk to the interns again about the disease and stuff like that, and I might hear a couple of machines go off, and before I know it, I'm sitting there. I mean, not so much now, but I mean, I've openly just started crying, and I'm going, "What is going on?" I can't stop it. I'm not crying as if I'm upset, but it's just happening. I'm like, oh. So I had all those. No, thankfully, all those have kind of stopped when it comes. That's thanks to the psychiatrist, whatever, counselor. But I used to be going, it must be just normal. No, it was, but like you said, the smell, a sound.
But
You might.
yeah, they say they
Go ahead.
say
Sorry.
yes. They say the smell and sound are the two most uh, reasons to have flashbacks and
Hmm.
the memories and all of that
It
over
is
sight
crazy.
and feel.
I've had it where, like, even not so long ago, I'd bring my daughter to one of her games, um, and I've saw someone who I remember that was a patient, and I'd literally walk away and I'd have a few breaths. But so it's crazy that you don't. It's like walking into a pane of glass or walking into a door. So poof,
Mm-hmm.
it just hits you. But I've learned to deal with that because I mean it would have affected me a lot worse before, but not so much now. But it is obviously still there. But it's something that will live with me forever. And as much as I'm proud of it, sometimes you're kind of going, just leave me alone for a bit. On the headers, just leave me alone. So yeah, it's been a long journey, and I'm not naive enough to think that it's finished. No, it's not. It's going to still go, which I welcome.
Well, I'm going to change the subject a little bit.
Mhm.
What viewers probably don't know, I mentioned it earlier in the show, is that you're a gamer. You
Yeah.
have taken a hobby or passion and turned it into a way to raise not only money, but raise awareness to NF. You recently had a showing, I'm not sure what you call it, on the gamers
It was
verbiage,
a
but
charity stream, is what they call
okay,
it.
a
Yeah.
stream, that's it, for us, and raised lots of money for us, which we greatly appreciate. And he will
Mhm.
be doing that again on October 28th.
Mhm.
You want to tell us a little bit about your Twitch? And I've got your site up. I
Yeah.
hope everybody signs in because I'm not a gamer. I've never really got into it. I really enjoyed the night I signed in to you playing and watching you play and
Yeah.
talking with everybody.
It is a bit mad. I won't speak as slow as this because I know I said to you previously that us Irish will talk very fast, and so it's just somewhere just to chill and stuff like that. No, it isn't a plug. I mean, the only reason I would mention it now is because of what I intend on doing again in October. So I done it last October, and like you said, we raised a good bit of money, and everyone was so generous and donated. And basically, what I done was, at the time, I was still physically not able for much movement, we'll say. So I was thinking, how can I give back, or how can I raise awareness, or whatever the case may be? So I was like, it'll be hard, but I can sit and I can play video games for 24 hours. No, it was hard, but thankfully, the way the world works, when the European audience went off, the American audience came on with the time difference. So people were there the whole way throughout, and people were generous and donating. And all I kept doing was, it was raising a conversation. So people were like, oh, what's this thing? So I'd pop-ups and people were able to read it, and they were horrified, which I was delighted with. They were sad, which I was delighted with. They were happy. You get a few trolls, you get whatever, but people were looking at it. And the aim is, obviously, the world is tough at the moment with money and stuff like that. So trying to get, I don't ask people for money. I wouldn't, because I know it's tough. But once a year, I'm making it an annual thing for the foundation. So I done it last October. I'll do it this October, and we'll do it next October, and we'll keep going. Now, the only difference being is that last year I done it for 24 hours. So I have to try and up that now. So the next one will be 30 hours. So that's going to be, it's going to be hard, but look, we've all been through harder. I mean, I'm not going to sit here complaining about playing something for 30 hours, but again, I'm going to get that everywhere, and people that aren't necessarily in the foundation, or there will be more people that don't know about it, and all it is just raising a conversation, bringing them on, asking questions, even Google searches or whatever the case may be. If they find it funny, at least they're looking at it. If they think, oh my God, that's so sad, they're looking at it. I'd rather that. And that is the thing with the stream. I know I will say this as well, Tim, when we were talking a lot about mental health, it would have been over a year ago, I was struggling, as in it was at its worst, because I was feeling sorry for myself and blah blah blah. And that is why I done what I'm doing now, as in the whole streaming thing, because it took my mind off it. I was focusing on this, I was putting everything into this, and then the fact that I was able to do something for the foundation was huge. And again, that will never go away. I mean, every time I'm on, or every time I'm live, there's always pop-ups. So I do it all year. I'm proud of it, and all I care is I want people to ask, even if gives a look at your scars, no, and I don't know, but thanks for asking, no, that kind of stuff. But October should be good, should be fun. I don't want to set an expectation, but I'd like to beat last year's goal. I think it was maybe about 800 or something like that. It was close to 800.
Yes,
I mean, if we can raise, I'm not asking.
And that goes a long way.
Here. So like. And another thing, like, I constantly, you can see I'm no less. So I've on the bracelet.
Yes,
I've on the bracelets. I buy them, and I give them away. Listen, if they put it on for a day and they go, I don't like that, as long as they see it. So it's just about raising awareness, raising money for the foundation, and having a good time in there.
I think it's great that you did that and taking something that you love to do. Like me, for example, I love to talk. So therefore, this was a good platform for me because I like to talk to people.
Yeah.
But people don't understand they could take things, crafts even. You could take crafting and raise money for a nonprofit.
100%.
And I'm not even necessarily saying us, but any nonprofit that's close to you.
Yeah, my aim going forward then as well is just something like I kind of like don't give too many ideas away, but we might as well know because we're going. So next year when I'm back, as in work and blah blah, like the army, I know where I am will get involved, and there could be like we'll go up a mountain and we'll raise awareness for it. We get pictures up the top with the t-shirts on or all that kind of stuff, and the army are unbelievably supportive. The Irish Army are unbelievably supportive. So there's that.
And we'll do what we can to help you have the propaganda you need to do that. Just let us know.
Yeah. And even at that, I appreciate that. And I remember you said that to me the last time as well and stuff like that. And I still have my ambassador's t-shirt. I was going to wear it, but I was going to come on here and go to that like you're on mute and have people wondering, is this muted? But anyway.
If my memory serves me correctly, you were the NFF's first ambassador.
There you go. There you go.
I believe you were.
I would say first and best, but we'll leave that for debate. Maybe when I do the next charity stream, I might get that mantle, get a crown. But
there you go.
Yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to that because it is hard to do. I know it sounds silly to say how is it hard to do, but if you're someone that works in an office and you say you sit there for 30 hours and you can't go anywhere, it's not easy. And you have to be, you can't just be like that. You know, you're doing the podcast. If me and you just sat here and were like this, no one would watch or listen or so.
Right.
But again, the aim is just get the message out and get as much money.
I'll be honest. My problem would be the bathroom.
Well, you're allowed that. But I mean, it would be a bit strange if I went out looking tired. I went to the bathroom. I came back 2 hours later and I look fresh. They'd be like, "You went to sleep." No. It's a medical condition. But,
there you go. Doctor's orders.
Doctor's orders, yeah, exactly. No, I'll be able to eat and I'll be able to go to the bathroom, but there'll be just no sleeping. So I just have to, like I said, I know you said you'd help out and stuff like that. So when I have, the date is stamped. I mean, it's the 28th of October. But the timing I'll have to figure out because it's 30 hours now. So it's not doing 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. It'll be 8 till 2. And I have to figure out what work because I'll have to take time off work as well. Which is bizarre trying to tell someone in the military, I need to take 2 days off. Why? Because I'm going playing video games for like nearly 2 days straight. Like, what? But it's all good.
Like I said, Robbie's link is on the screen, and I'll make sure to put it in the description of our video on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, Robbie, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've been at you for a while. Every comment I've gone.
I know. And it seemed like every time you did, something had happened. 1 week I had to have surgery on my shoulder, so I wasn't able to do it that week. You know, just seemed like something always happens. That's why I grabbed you. I was like, let's do it. As soon as we can, let's do it.
The number one ambassador was waiting in the wind.
Exactly. Shouldn't have been waiting.
I'm here now, and I'm glad I've done it. And I think everyone that is in the foundation and everyone that's a survivor and everyone that has family and stuff, everyone should be honestly proud of it. Chest out, head high, and just go, look where we are. And obviously remember those that would have unfortunately passed from it and stuff like that, because it is a nasty piece of work. But look, we're all in it together, and that's pretty much all I can say in the sense that we're all here together.
Well, I can say after talking to our medical advisor, Dr. Bulger, in her interview we did a few months ago, she told us that since not just the NFF, the Lee Spark Foundation as well in the UK, which is another NF foundation.
Oh, another band, that's from him, that's Lee Spark's one.
Because we have, in the last 5 years, we raised enough awareness that we have actually lowered the death rate, the mortality rate to NF.
That's huge.
Not a whole lot, but we've lowered it.
Any decrease is brilliant.
Exactly.
So that is fantastic. That's a good way to almost end, in the sense that that's good news, and we just keep doing what we're doing. Everyone that is involved, and
Well, that's for having great members like you who do your
yeah,
Twitch. That's a fabulous way to raise awareness. Fabulous
yeah.
way, and I appreciate you doing that and raising money for us.
The main reason on that, because I know we'll be wrapping up soon, is my aim is to target that younger generation. And if we're being honest, I mean, most people, like we said, is elder personnel that would contract the disease stuff. Not many people would know about Twitch, or they hear about gaming. They're like, my grandchild does that, or my. But you'd rather that they find out. Everyone gets access to knowing about it, which is, so there's so many different avenues of raising awareness, and this just happens to be my part to play it, we'll say.
And that's where I struggle myself, of helping to raise awareness to younger generation, because I don't do the gaming. I'm not up with all the trends and the social media things that they do.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of ladies that are younger on the foundation who do a pretty good job of keeping me up with the trends.
Yeah. Hashtags and stuff. You're like, what? But anyway.
Oh, Lord. We won't even talk about hashtags. That's my nightmare.
You're not. You're only young.
Well, Robbie, thank you for being here. If you want to hang out backstage for a few minutes, I'll be back there in just a few minutes.
I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'd like to thank our guest, Robbie Walsh, for being here today. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for being here. I hope to see you next time for our next episode. Please remember to be kind and to smile.